adjust that when I need to. Mic check. Mic check. How I'm doing? I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I can put this towel in my lap. You won't be able to see it. Let's get this camera closer, because that's what we got to do. I'm just going to really sit and relax. Okay, I got the podcast going. The mic is in frame. Actually got a little bit closer, but it's all good. The biggest thing is that you know that I'm here. I'm getting this camera as close as I can. And we're going to be talking. I don't know about what. I do know, but, it's one of those things to where you're just trying to really just stay in focus and just stay in the zone. It's interesting because as I change positions, change things that I'm doing, I still have to be more comfortable than anything as I go about this, right? Oh, shit. That's right. There we go. That's going to be a part of the regular podcast, but part of the video. The video is what it is, right? We live right now. If you don't understand what I just said, I said we live right now. I start saying that, I don't know when, a couple months ago, and it's kind of like my thing. And I think that's how things happen quite a bit. When you do things, you develop it, you get better and all that good stuff, right? But as you do that, you find out, develop your own little quirks and all that good stuff, right? Good stuff. Okay. I need to cut that out of my vocabulary and all that stuff. But today's Sunday. It is May. I don't know when it is. Oh, I do have my phone on me, so that's good. So let's check. May 26th, 2024. It is the summer. The summer is going pretty well so far. My son did get in a little accident, so he has a chipped tooth. We're going to check that out on Tuesday. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we're doing pretty good. No complaints whatsoever. Just really trying to be consistent and get better with this. And I think I am. I had an interesting talk yesterday with a couple guys. They're really cool. One of my daughter's friends, and I was going there to pick her up, not to stay. And she was not ready as usual. She's a very people person. And they invited me in. I don't usually drink. Like I said, I'm a misanthrope. Probably saying it wrong, but kind of whenever I say that, people kind of get thrown off when I say that. And I can hold a conversation. I can talk about mostly anything, and I give that mostly to podcasts. Of course, I'm the one who put in the work and all that good stuff, right? But it's interesting to kind of just see how far I've come being able to talk about different topics with people. And it was really cool. So we just talked about almost anything. Talked about life, dealing with our kids, seeing if we're failing or not, why they won't listen, why they won't clean their room, how they get us to do anything. And it's really cool. It's really cool to really see that I'm not unusual in my approach. And it's really cool to just kind of get feedback and see what's working with people, what's not working, and really seeing where everybody's at. Everybody's on their own journey, own mission, and all that stuff. And I was telling them quite a bit about the podcast and the business and the things that I'm doing, the content creation and all, right? And it's been really lovely to just really just get out there and to build up some steam, build up some traction, and try to decrease the amount of friction that I've had when I do this. There's so many things on my to-do list. I gotta look at my Kanban board and all that good stuff, right? That I want to start doing, but I'm only one person. Eventually I'll get help, but people won't help you until you figure it out for yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. Or if I had a lot of money, I could just start paying people anyway, right? But I think people truly get on board and understand what you're trying to do when you actually are out there in the trenches, getting better, showing people what the vision is, So that's what we're working with. I did was able to see the coffee mom who always has her coffee out. And I don't think I've mentioned this much at all on the podcast since then, but I did reach out to her and her husband, her family. I gave them a couple bags of coffee and stuff like that. They're still drinking it and all that good stuff. So I knew it was the last day of school. So I just wanted to present myself one more time and let them know the things that I want to do. And I don't know if they're going to take me up on my offer. R&D, free coffee. And not only that, that's more so what I would like out of it. Also do interviews and all that stuff. But I did, purposely ask them too. It's like, what do you want out of this? If you want anything out of this, probably they're still thinking about it, but it doesn't matter. I put myself out there. I'm able to really understand the things that I'm trying to do, and I'm keep pushing. I'm keep doing things that I know that make sense for the brand, for the company, for the business, for the direction of what I'm trying to do, right? So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that as I take away from all this is not really getting pissed. You also have to understand it from other people's point of view. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. But it's cool to just push yourself out there and see where it works. And it's interesting too. We'll probably talk about this in another podcast, but I do want to touch on the farmers market because he did mention something about farmers market or harvest festival and all that stuff and how we'll kill it. And I was like, that's cool. But I don't think people realize quite a bit is that when you talk to people or interact with people in a setting like it is for like a farmer's market, it's like a one-time type of thing. It's like we are all trying to do the same thing, meaning that we have our base, and our base should be our website. Our base could be Instagram. Our base could be Facebook, YouTube, whatnot, right? But truly, our base should be our website first, or even the brick and mortar of our business, because that's where we want people to come through. In my case, it's my website, and then eventually it's going to be the website plus Amazon. But no matter which platform that you go to, you want to be able to see if you can actually pull people from these entities, these subsections of the world, to pull them into your world. Get them on a newsletter, talk to them more intimately, and that's more so the things that we are trying to do, trying to understand. And really, that's the way that we are really trying to grow our business. So when you deal with a farmer's market quite a bit, it is something that it's cool, it's exciting, but truly it's a grind. It's like literally a pop-up brick and mortar shop. However many times you want to do it, you have to set up all the time. And again, I'll go more into depth about my thinking and my logic and how I think farmers markets are BS. Only the big ones and all that stuff will do something with it. But even had one coffee roaster that I used to communicate with. We told him the game plan. He went ahead and did their own thing. And I think they did the farmers market for like 3-4 years. And then recently, almost a year, I guess, they went ahead and stopped it for whatever reason. I can have an idea why, but it's interesting. It's a lot of work. No matter how many people you get, no matter how many people you're trying to like convert to come to your shop, to your website, so they can buy coffee each and every time, it's very difficult, beyond just paying your fees and communicating with people, talking to people. So that's that. And that's the thing that we're trying to do, trying to get people to come to us, to come into our house, to enjoy. And the hospitality yesterday was really nice. It was really cool. And I truly appreciated it. And that's really what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a system to where people feel that they can come into our place and enjoy, and then to communicate and to do all the good stuff that you want people to do. The intent of them to do is to engage with your product, to see your philosophy in the way you go about doing your business, and then eventually start buying. But just having a website by itself is really not enough. It's SEO's hard, and that's kind of like more so the things that you're kind of dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah. So my dude, my boy, Ethan Chlebowski. I butchered that, and I shouldn't butcher it because people, what's my phone at? People butcher my name all the time. And I'm sure, I don't know, I just had that thing. Oh, there it is. It's on my bookshelf. Let's see. Ethan. What's his name? I'm going to say it correctly as best as I can. So we're going to see. We're going to see how it works and everything. And let's see. Ethan. There we go. Ethan Chlebowski. Ethan Chlebowski. This guy is badass. He truly is. I'll give it up to him. And I wouldn't say lately, but it's been many months that he's done this, to where, like, his main channel, he goes into these epic type of videos, and they are like epic. I'm serious. They're like 30, 45 minutes long. Sometimes they'll have a short one here and there, but he like dives deep into the stuff. And I knew eventually he was going to talk about coffee. I knew it. I knew he was about to talk about coffee. And yesterday, May 25th, 2024, yesterday, I listened to this stuff outside when I was roaming, doing my thing, getting my steps in. As I was attending to the grill, I learned some stuff about that. We may talk about that later today if we have time. But yeah, so he finally did coffee. I knew he was going to do coffee eventually, but he did coffee. He finally did coffee. About 45 minutes of coffee, and he really went into it. And the cool thing about his approach is that he's not here to try to tell you like he knows this stuff about coffee. He's more so giving the information to the people, the customer, the audience, so they can take what they want with it. And he goes really good in depth about what he's really trying to do. And I think that's awesome. I think that's admirable, because a lot of times we're just talking about people. And I think a lot of people, especially dealing with YouTube, they're curious people who like, and who gravitate, who subscribe to a person like that. They just want to get better. They just want to understand things even more so. And he goes a little bit, I wouldn't say not crazy, past the surface, but the amount of work and research that he's done, it's just amazing. And I don't think anybody could have done it better than him. I was listening to another podcast yesterday, and it brought up a really good point. And it's like, no matter what you try to do, you try to create videos content that nobody else can produce. So nobody's going to attempt that, not the way that he has, and the way that he's really gone into it. Same with like James Hoffman. He's really in a place to where, no, you cannot do that. That's what he does. There's different ways to go about it. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. I am going to figure out in my own way of going about things. But it's cool to really kind of just love and see that from other people and like the passion and love that they put into their projects. So it was a really good episode. I guess I'm going to talk about it to an extent. And I thought about it. I was like, what am I going to talk about this? It's not so much like a rebuttal, like a strike back or anything like that. Like he got this wrong. He did this incorrectly. He didn't touch on this a little bit more and all that stuff like that. But I don't want to do that. I want to talk about something that I believe that is extremely critical and important about coffee. And he did touch on it a little bit and just enough. And I want to expand on this one little topic that he kind of talked about. He was talking about how coffee is what it is. You can't change it from coffee A is going to always be coffee A. And I've talked about that so many times. Nobody knows who I am, truly, really. But I've talked about that in my coffee journey. And I'm sure many other roasters will talk about that too. Is that coffee is what it is. You can't like manipulate it, kind of make it go crazy to the point of different profiles and all that good stuff, right? You can, but you can't. And then the thing about the journey of coffee is that you have to realize that you're dealing with a product. Not even so much of people always saying like it's an ag product. Yes, it is. It's an ag product. It may be different from this year to this to the next year for whatever climate reasons, but or harvesting reasons, or it doesn't matter. It's kind of cool that hear me coughing like a crazy guy. Hey, Logan, he's watching Bluey, so he doesn't care right now, which is fine. I just need some water. And let's see if we can swallow this through. I forgot what I was talking about. But coffee has personality. Just like we as people have personalities. But one thing that people don't realize or things or life, people, whatever, is that people a lot of times people say like people you can't change people, right? To an extent, but if you think about it, you can't really change. A person can change and evolve and get better, right? Hey Logan, could you give me some water? So that's the beauty of people. If we truly, really do want to change, we can change. And we can change in so many different areas and in ways in our lives that a lot of times people won't even know that recognize us, right? It's like you changed. I don't know who you are. But to an extent, there is a law of diminishing return of like, this is who you are. And that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about coffee, how coffee does have personality. And one thing that he mentioned is that the coffee is what it is. And he mentioned a whole light, medium, and dark roast. I don't need a lot, man. I just need a little bit. Cool. Thank you, Logan. Thanks. There we go. Get this away from the dog just in case she comes through. But yeah, we're talking about coffee, right? We're not talking about people, but people have personality. Coffee has personality. Just like when we eat a fruit, whatnot, you know, it has personality from time to time. Sometimes it lacks personality, you know. And I think that's the thing that we're really trying to get at. That's the thing that we're really trying to understand and gravitate to. But with coffee, coffee is an interesting thing because it's true. You can't manipulate or change the coffee in a way to where it's totally different. It is what it is. For instance, I can roast this Honduras coffee that I talked about months ago many different ways, right? And I can go slow, go fast, blah blah blah. I can pull it at a light roast, I can pull it at a medium roast, blah blah blah, right? Dark roast. Dark roast is more so what it is, right? But it still, for the most part, tastes the way it does, you know? But one thing I do want to touch on is that there are coffees out there that are unicorn coffees to me. I mentioned this. There's two coffees in particular that I remember in my lifetime so far, a coffee lifetime. Two coffees in particular. Like you can roast it light, medium, dark, whichever profile you want to. It just took it. It was a magical bean, and most of those were single origin. One was from Sulawesi in Indonesia, and the other one was from Costa Rica, black honey. I want to taste that black honey again because it was extremely magical. That was really like the first time that I could taste sweetness in a coffee. I was really surprised. So there's a couple coffees out there. A lot of geishas are one notey, just more floral taste, smelling, and out there to an extent, but I think it's overrated. I do. But there's a couple of coffees out there that really do taste magical at light, medium, and dark roasts. Truly magical. There's not a lot of coffees like that, right? And I guess what I'm getting at, or really trying to get you to understand, and when you go through your coffee journey, is that that's why I really gravitate more towards a medium roast when it comes to coffee, because you can kind of get the best of both worlds. You get a coffee that is developed enough to where it does carve off the vegetal type of tasting that a light roast usually presents you. And yeah, I'm saying light, medium, dark because that's what it is. You know, that a lot of times when we talk about coffee, as he was talking about, it's like don't buy towards light, medium, and dark. Yeah, that's true. But that's kind of like the starting place because a lot of times that's kind of like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You have a starting place. And I think that's the biggest takeaway about all of this is that let's say you do choose to go with a light, medium, and dark roast, right? Because that's the way that you understand the game. It's like when I play basketball. I know that I'm gonna bounce the ball to the right. I'm bounce the ball with the right hand. And then I'm gonna switch over to the left hand. And I'm just gonna keep bouncing it, probably go through my legs for a little bit, probably throw it up in the air. Probably start working on my shooting technique, really trying to see what I'm working with, try to do a couple of moves here and there. That's just my baseline. So my baseline is my baseline, right? It doesn't matter. My That's the way I approach things, right? I'm just talking about basketball right now. And that's the beauty of this. You can approach coffee, you can approach food in any way that you want to. As long as you go about it in a way to where it does make sense to you, right? That's going to be the biggest kicker in all of this. is that it's just a starting place. So when you go about trying to figure out the things that you're trying to do, as long as you're comfortable with going about it in that way, that's just a starting place. The journey is what you make it. I like that. Did I make a new website? All right, have life is what you make of it. But you start the race that you want to, no matter what. No matter if I go about it with my kids and I tell them to do certain things this way and that way, and they do it totally opposite, and I get mad about it. That's just the way they do things. Same thing here. So I think it's perfectly fine for somebody to be like, yeah, I'm going to start my journey with either a light, medium, dark roast. And I think the biggest takeaway that he was trying to get at is that it's a journey. It's a journey, and you try to understand as much as you can about a coffee. You go into it in a way to where you're exploring, you're understanding, and you're having fun, but you're also expanding your palate, expanding your drive, and you're understanding the wonder of what you're really trying to get out of this coffee. Even if you're drinking it whatever way. We're not talking about that today. That's not even the point or thing that we're trying to really understand. The thing that we're really trying to understand is that everybody has a way of going about enjoying or not enjoying or discovering that coffee. And that's the cool thing about it. I think that's the biggest takeaway that you can take from what I'm really trying to say is that, or what he was trying to say. And I believe that what he was trying to say is that it's a journey that we're just trying to go in. And I know I keep saying journey, but it is. We go through so many different types of journeys in our lives. And then as we get crunk, not as get crunk. I'm getting crunk right now talking about this. But as we go through our life, there's so many different journeys and paths that we take. And that's really where we're getting at, right? That's really what we're trying to do. So coffee does have personality. And I think most of the time, coffee as a light roast are not good. There's many times where people love light roasts, and of course they're trying to get the sweetness out of it. I'm trying to find it myself. And there's been many coffees that I have tried and tested, even from Denmark, Copenhagen, all that stuff. I will continue to buy those to just kind of get an idea of what people are talking about. I know there's a couple really light roast type of people. But again, that's where you start. And it's interesting, is that it's just a starting place. And then a lot of times when you do drink coffee, it's something to where you could change one variable with it, and it's totally different. For instance, I don't use AeroPress so much. I really still don't like the way the cups come out. Probably do need to do like another deep dive into the AeroPress, kind of revisit it. I'm not revisiting French press. That's up to you if you want to. But the thing about it is that AeroPress to me is not a good parameter of trying to figure out what is a tasty coffee. I like filter coffee. I really do. And for instance, I like my Hario V60 Switch. Could be my favorite brewer now. But I guess what I'm getting at is that you have this beverage, you have this coffee. It's roasted, right? And as it's roasted, that's what the person gave it to you at that time. Yeah, they got computers and all that stuff, blah, 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 to replicate what they're trying to do. But what they're not also telling you is that coffee is still aging in a bag. So they're probably not moving as fast as you think they are, right? Moving that coffee as fast as they can, and that coffee is changing. And as it changes, no matter what, if you do try to roast it the same, it's not going to be the same. It's still going to be more so a variation of the same thing, but it's still going to be different. So even though you may think that you're doing things in a way to where you're doing the exact same thing in order to get the same taste of that coffee, you're not. It's still going to be a variation of it being different. So I guess what I'm getting at, the biggest thing that I'm trying to get you to understand is that when you push and try to do things in a way to where it does make sense, it never really makes sense. And I think that's why it's very important that we be loose, not so like pigeonhole with what we're trying to do in this coffee game. Again, just like when I was talking about earlier, it's like, okay, we're talking about coffee, right? But everybody has like a protocol or procedure that they follow and do every time. Like, for instance, when I was talking to the gentleman yesterday about coffee, and he said, "Oh, we love coffee. We use this thing over here." They got a way of doing their thing, right? You know, just turns it on and does their thing, right? But it's the start of the day, right? It's what you do. It's like how you understand things, and it's one of those things and ideas that you're really trying to gather and get to the point of, and really just try to enjoy, because again, we're on so many different journeys in our lives, no matter for what it is. Sometimes we go deep into that rabbit hole. Sometimes we just kind of be on the surface with it. So I think I'm all over the place. And I did just want to just talk to you about that situation. More so is that coffee does have personality. And it is different with a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast. And at times, even when you have a picked out parameter of coffee, like it is being a light roast, they do have different profiles to bring out different things. But for the most part, that coffee is what it is. And it's extremely true. That's one thing that he did bring up. That's kind of funny. It's like light, medium, and dark. What does it really mean? Because a lot of times it doesn't mean anything. I do have gadgets and stuff like that to help me. I do have a palette, and so I can present that to you, right? But my medium roast is different than somebody else's. That part you can't really put into a scoreboard on an SEA chart, right? You can't really do that, and people will gravitate to you, no matter what. If you are saying what you're saying, and if they like what you like, they like what you like, no matter what the color reading says. So it's again about product selection. It's about like giving people a thing about something that's tasty, something that's interesting. So that was an interesting conversation that I listened to yesterday. And I do want to pose that to you. Like, what did you get out of it if you listen to it? Is there more things that you will want to learn more about that? Ask me. Let's see if I can probably answer that question for you. I think that's one of the beauties of all this, is that we have different people online to kind of give us this information, and we can go about it in a way to where we want to go deep into that rabbit hole, or we probably want to learn it from ourselves, from our own point of view. So that's the beauty of all this. And like I said, I got other things that I do want to talk about, but this one's 100% coffee, right? I didn't veer off too much. I know I talked about people and gatherings and all that stuff, but I mean, it's okay. It's okay. And that's the beauty of this. And I think when I was talking to the guy to end off this topic, to end this podcast, because it's been about 30 minutes, is that I told him that it's coffee and other things. Because that's the thing about this, is that it has to be fun for me. And that's what I'm understanding more so with all of this, is that I love coffee. It's magical bean. I truly, really met it 15, 16, whatever years ago. almost 20 years ago. And it's been a magical ride. It's been great. I love mostly everything about it. But there's other shit that I like too. And this has to be fun for me. And as I do these podcasts, I haven't really gotten bored with it because I'm not just talking about coffee. I'm talking about interjecting like grilling and gardening and reading and dealing with my kids and understanding my wife even more so. Understanding people in business and how they say more when they're not actually telling you through their actions and stuff, right? That's the thing that really gravitates to me the most. It's the exploration of life, of understanding and not understanding and getting confused and frustrated and all the stuff that, you deal with the ups and downs of everything, right? So this is fun for me. And I can't just talk about coffee, but today I talked about coffee. So you can't say I didn't talk about coffee, but trust me, all the stuff that I did yesterday, I'm not even talking about just the grilling, the things I learned about airflow and how I can take that with me when I actually brew a cup of coffee and how that matters. And also in the actual roasting of the coffee and how I can learn from there to produce a better cup, to not keep things always consistent, to see if I can get different flavors and tastes out of the coffees. And also brewing techniques, how I learned that from my smoker outside and how it's quite amazing. I can't wait to delve more into that. I can't wait to talk to you more about my findings and my logic and my thinking, right? And that's the beauty of this. That's the fun parts about really just trying to get out there and understand this thing and not really worry about trying to really truly figure out, because this is just fun. And I hope that you find your fun, not just in coffee, but into other things that you may like. So that's I think that's the beauty of this. And I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway that I would like to give you to really explore is that go deep into that rabbit hole of coffee, but see what else is out there for you. And hopefully I'm able to probably even give you some ideas, logic into this, and you kind of do what you want with that. So that's what we got for today. Chilling, relaxing. I'm going to chill the rest of the day. I may do another video idea. I did another one yesterday, which kind of came out pretty good. It's about these things. Where's the other one? You'll get this episode in probably a week or so. But I talked about these triers, how they're kind of useless because it doesn't matter. You smell the coffee. Oh yeah, I smell the coffee. It's changing. I smell it. It's not green anymore. It doesn't matter. After a while, once you start doing this, you do multiple mini roasts. You stop smelling it. You stop doing that stuff. A lot of times I think it's just for show. And it's important to kind of look at what you're dealing with, working with, especially if it's a newer coffee. I haven't done this with the newer coffee. It doesn't matter. You pull the coffee that makes sense. You jot it down on your notebook. You taste it. And that's what you do. That's what you do. Yeah. I mean, if you still use this, you still use this. Fine. If you want to use this, use this. But these things have seen better times and days and all that stuff and all that good stuff. Is it the same? No, different cup, But, oh, yeah. So, yeah. I think this one, can't remember where this one goes, but I'm going to put these back on and let them stay in the roaster. It'd be cool to actually like nail it in there or put a stopper inside of it or something. But yeah, I talked about these for a little bit yesterday. It's not gonna be a long one. It's probably gonna be a probably not a even just like a one cut, whatnot, whatever. So I'm rambling. So enjoy your day if you gotten this far. Have a good day. Bye.